Hello, hello. Welcome to Caffeinated Mondays. My name is Wendelica, and I am coming to you from the beautiful Umpqua River Valley along the mighty Umpqua River in Oregon. So I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm actually home alone right now, and that just it never happens. So I'm hoping that you all can hear me well. It's hello, Joy. So I'm not actually alone, but I am the only one in the house right now. So it's going to take me a few minutes to get everything gathered together and ready to start showing y'all how to make some 4-seed snack crackers. In our house, we call them monk crackers, and I sometimes put nuts in them. I don't stay strictly to seeds. It's kind of like that clean out the refrigerator soup, whatever I have on hand goes into the crackers. So I thought this would be a great recipe to show you guys this beginning of Thanksgiving week, because it's a great thing to just, gather whatever you've got in your kitchen together and make something that's gonna be awesome, and you can do it days ahead of Thanksgiving dinner if you're hosting Thanksgiving dinner for your family or friends. So we're gonna do some 4-seed snack crackers, and let me show you the recipe here. What will I do without my weekly dose of joy? That's a good question. All right, let's see if this works. There we go. There's the recipe for the crackers. I'm so glad that is working today. Last week's stream was sort of a challenge because we had some issues with the bot that's supposed to do things like that for me. It went rogue and started banning people that really didn't need to be banned. So hopefully we have that fixed, and today we are going to make some crackers. We are going to make a cheese dip, and I think I'm going to make some French press coffee. It occurred to me this morning that French press is the way we do our coffee around here every morning. It's our standard, let's get ready to go with our day coffee, and I've never shown you guys how to do it here. So I will show you how easy it is to do first thing in the morning when you haven't even had any coffee yet. So that's what we're doing. And Stream Elements posted a link to my merch store. Hey, I just got a cool thing that is in the merch store. Just a second. I almost forgot to have this ready to show you guys. Okay, this is our Bravewood Beanery Stream Elements merch shop mug. It says, "Stay positive, stay caffeinated, stay the course." This is from a little graphic I put together for Instagram about a year ago, I think. And I liked it, and a lot of people seemed to like it, so I actually printed this on a poster, and it was in our booth at the farmer's market all summer long. And when I started putting together things for the merch store, I thought, you know what, this might make a cool coffee cup. So here we are. Stay positive, stay caffeinated, stay the course. All important things to keep in mind. So I will keep this over here so that I can put my coffee in it later. All right. Joy likes it. I like it. I think it's cool. Okay, so I'm going to start with the snack crackers, as we call them, monk crackers. Oh, we call them monk crackers because they came from this book. This recipe comes from Brother Juniper's bread book, which is by Peter Reinhart. We are going to start with, the recipe calls for sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and flax seeds. And I could not find any pumpkin seeds. I'm pretty sure I have some, but I could not find them. So instead, we're going to substitute. I have some sunflower seeds. I need a cup, so I better get a measuring cup. And these are raw, unsalted, just regular old sunflower seeds. Hope I have a cup. The important thing is that you just need a total of 2.5 cups of nuts and seeds and things. So here is almost a cup of sunflower seeds. And I'm going to put that in my food processor. And I've got some sesame seeds that I'm going to use. The sesame seeds won't need much grinding because they're pretty small and they're probably just going to get thrown around in the grinder. So I'm just going to do a 1/2 cup of these. And then I had some chia seeds on hand, so we're going to throw some chia seeds in. I've never actually put chia seeds in this before. Joy's got to go do stuff. Thank you, Joy. I'm glad you checked in. That was very nice. Get lots of work done. Okay, so I'm going to put about a 1/2 cup of chia seeds in here. That's a lot of chia seeds. Maybe a little less than a 1/2 cup. So those are really light and I think they're going to get tossed around too. They should make the crackers look interesting though, right? Okay, now, because I couldn't find any other seeds to throw in, I am going to put in some pecans. So I've got some pecans in my little canister here, and I'll do about a 1/2 cup of pecans. These are the easiest crackers in the world to make. Super simple. Throw them in here, and I'm just going to grind everything up in the food processor. I'm going to try and not process it to the point that it turns into butter. That and see what we think. The sunflower seeds aren't broken up very much, so I'm going to just turn it on and let it go and see what happens. Is that better? Oh, that's much better. I still have a bunch of whole sunflower seeds in there. I do want those broken down because I have to roll this out flat into crackers. Alright, how's it looking now? I would rather have it a little bit chunky than over processed. So, darn it, maybe I might need to just go a little higher speed. I've got it on the low speed. Alright, we'll try it one more time here. Okay, we're just going to go with it because it's starting to look oily and I don't want it to turn into nut butter. So let's switch to the overhead view here. Alright, I'm just going to pour this into my mixing bowl. And you can see, like I've got some whole sunflower seeds in here, or nearly whole, but most of them are broken up. And that's really the hardest part. It's just making sure that your seeds don't turn into butter when you're blending them up. You can use a blender for this. I just thought it'd be easier to use the food processor. So, and this food processor is an attachment that goes on my Bosch Universal Mixer, which by the way is an awesome machine. 3.5 cups of flour. This, by the way, makes about 5 dozen crackers. So this ought to be enough crackers for your Thanksgiving repast. 3.5 cups of whole wheat flour. And by the way, if you are sensitive to gluten, you can do this quite nicely with spelt flour. I was avoiding gluten for a few years. And so I discovered that I could do spelt pretty well. And I started making a lot of things with spelt flour instead of regular wheat. That's 3, I think. I need a 1/2 cup more. this is an unleavened bread, so you don't really need gluten. It doesn't need to hold any sort of a gluten fiber network. So you could probably use Bob's Red Mill all-purpose gluten-free baking mix, whatever they call it, bread. No, not the bread mix. They have a flour that you can just substitute 1-to-1, and I think that would work just fine with this also. Okay, I got my seeds in there, I got my flour, I need a teaspoon of salt. Go. 5 tablespoons of honey. What we're putting in here. So there are my 4 tablespoons and a little extra. That's about 5 tablespoons, right? Next, I need 1/4 of a cup of my oil. I did this backwards. I should have done the oil first and then the honey. But we will just pour the oil in there while we measure the honey. And I don't know, I've never tried it, but you could use maybe an infused oil, like a rosemary oil. That might be yummy. If anyone tries it, let me know how it turned out. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of water in here, but just a touch, like that was maybe a tablespoon. I'm going to mix this all up. And then I'm going to turn it out onto the counter and I'm going to knead it for a little bit. I believe I'm going to need more than just a tablespoon of water. So, as you're watching, if you're watching later, you can always comment and I will see it. Anyway, let me know, have you ever made crackers before? Have you ever thought about making your own crackers? Wondered if it's difficult? I am here to tell you it's not difficult. Just, especially if you got such a basic recipe like this. Like I've got a cookbook that is all different cracker recipes. And some of those cracker recipes are really simple and some of them are not. But this one is just, it's always been my favorite. I have a recipe for goldfish crackers too. I keep thinking I'd love to get a little goldfish cutter to make the goldfish crackers with. That would be fun. So I just added a little more water. I'm going to have to get in here with my hands, I think, so that I can feel whether or not this is going to stick together yet. It looks like it's starting to come up a little. Yeah, it's starting to pull together. Feel it, it's getting close. I know some people don't like to dig in with their hands when they're making stuff, but I don't mind having stuff. I like to be able to feel the texture of the dough or whatever I'm working. I haven't been keeping track of how much water I put in. If anyone's been counting tablespoons or quarter cups, I'd love to know how much I put in here. It's starting to stick together. water to bring it together into a ball of dough. I think it needs a little more. I can squeeze it and it'll stay, but I don't think it's going to stay as a ball of dough. More water. Let's go to the tea kettle. I don't even know how much that was. It's kind of like making pie dough, you know? Just gotta get it to that point where it sticks together. It's not so wet that it's going to be tough and rubbery. I'm not trying to develop gluten fibers, which I will do if I ever work this. Oh, if I looked down to the bottom of the ingredient list, it says 6 to 8 ounces of water as needed. Okay, so there's a ballpark amount. I think I'm getting close to that. Okay, then it says turn the dough out onto a floured counter and knead until smooth, firm but elastic, satiny rather than tacky. The dough is drier and firmer than most bread dough, about 10 minutes. Okay, so we're gonna, I think it's gonna need a little more water. And then I'm gonna get some flour. And this is just white flour. It'll be fine for kneading. I have my knife drawer open right here because I have a different camera stand that I'm trying out for the first time today, and it clamps onto the counter, which is really cool because I can put it just about anywhere except where there's a drawer because the drawer blocks where you have to clamp it. So I have my drawer standing open here. And I'm going to try really hard not to get cracker dough in it. Oh, I know. I should have just thrown it all over it. Hold on. I'm so nervous about my drawer. Oh, my knives getting dirty now. So, can you see? You can't see. Let's see. I'm trying to keep away from the edge of the counter. So I'm just going to start working this. Folding it and squishing it and folding it and squishing it. So, since I'm home alone, I don't have anybody to adjust my cameras for me while I'm working. So I'm kind of nearly off camera on my main camera. Hopefully you can see with my Droid cam from my phone what's going on here. Now I'm supposed to knead this for like 10 minutes. I'm thinking that you probably could put this in a stand mixer with a dough hook and do the same thing. Because this is a really, really stiff dough. That's a good thing I put a towel over my drawer. That would have just put a bunch of seeds in my knife drawer if I had not done that. So, if anyone out there watching does not do a traditional Thanksgiving dinner, or maybe you're doing something different for the first time this year, what are you making? I would love to hear. Or are you just I shouldn't put it that way. Are you traveling to someone else's home who is putting on the big old dinner and bringing your specialty, whatever your specialty might be? I would love to hear what your go-to, I'm going to show off my cooking skills recipe is. Those are always fun. I love to give people a chance to shine and show off what they do best, and that way, you know, the person who's hosting is not under pressure to do every single thing at this super high level of expertise, you know, where every single thing has to be perfect. If everyone who is participating gets to bring their best of their best, then every single thing in the meal is going to be pretty darn awesome, right? We have kids coming, our adult kids coming for dinner for Thanksgiving. And I apologize to countries that are not the United States, outside the United States. I know you guys are not celebrating Thanksgiving this week as we are, but it is a pretty huge deal, you know. And any big family gathering, celebration, I think, is a huge deal. Family time is important. Traditions are important. Oh, this is really coming together and getting to be a strong dough. I'm really pleased with it. I don't think I've been kneading it for 10 minutes, but it looks like it's getting close. I watch people online making these beautiful sourdough loaves. They just like flip it, you know, and it looks so easy. That is not this dough. I think I'm about ready to give up. I think it is firm and smooth. Feels good. It's not really tacky. The seeds are nicely incorporated into it. Seeds and nuts. Okay, so now I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap and put it in the refrigerator, let it chill. Cover that all up and put it in the refrigerator. Now I'm supposed to heat up the oven to 340 degrees Fahrenheit, according to the recipe. So that's what we're going to do. Now, we have moved into this house within the last 3 months, so I haven't done this recipe with this oven before. We shall see if 340 degrees is what this oven needs. I'm thinking I just did 350 in my old oven, so we'll try it at 340 and see what happens. Anyway, this is eventually going to bake for, how long is this going to bake for? 20 to 25 minutes per sheet, of course. And then it says cool for at least 20 minutes to allow them to crisp up. So, should I move on to making cheese sauce right now, or should I make some coffee? I think I'm going to make coffee. So, I am going to be using a coffee that is brand new to Bravewood Beanery. If you have not looked at my website for a while, you might want to check it out. I've got a few new ones. I have a new blend that is called Umpqua River Blend, and I'm very excited about that. But I also have this Guatemalan Huehuetenango, and that smells so good. Let me show you the overhead view again. so that you can see this up close. Isn't that gorgeous? It's really a lovely coffee, and it's very aromatic, and it's just a really nice light roast coffee. It's grown in very high altitude in Guatemala, which means that these beans start out very tiny and very dense because they are grown at such a high altitude. So it makes it a little bit of a challenge to do a really nice light roast on it. You need to have enough heat to get all the way through that really dense bean, but you also need to keep it light enough, you know, that you don't over roast it and lose all of the beautiful fruity flavors that this bean has to offer. So that's what I'm going to make in my French press today. And where did I put my French press? I've got one right here. I have French presses all over the place. I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to... My husband usually makes the French press coffee for us in the morning. So this is really his realm of expertise. And you do not have to have any kind of a fancy schmancy gooseneck kettle or anything for this. You just need hot water. This is one of the differences between the way I make the French press and the way my husband does. He measures with a coffee scoop, and he just does 3 heaping scoops. Boom, 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 right? I like to be a little bit more exact, and I'm looking for a container I can measure the beans into. Oh, I'll just measure into here. Okay, 0. So he just does 3 big heaping tablespoon scoops, and I tend to do 4 more level. So it kind of evens out, really. Okay, and I actually ended up with 24 grams. Okay, because I am doing the 4-cup coffee press. There it is. I'm losing track of things. French press grinder is set for a much more coarse grind than my satay, which I use for espresso. Show you the grind level that we use. Whoa, I've got coffee chaff going everywhere. Ooh. Okay. So this is our French press grind. I don't know if you can see, it's much more coarse than an espresso. It's a little bit more coarse than you would use for an automatic drip because this is an immersion. So that means the hot water is going to just sit there with the coffee in it, moving freely, you know, almost like making a loose leaf tea and then straining it out as you pour. So you can see it in there. So we're just waiting for the water to heat up now. You can see all this chaff, all this stuff on the sides. It's just chaff from the coffee beans. I do not have a chaff collector on my roaster, so Bravewood Beanery coffee comes out with quite a lot of chaff. Some coffees have more chaff than others. And it depends on the processing, the way they processed the coffee at the farm or at the co-op, where they process it. Some coffees are washed, some coffees are just dried as the whole fruit with the bean inside it. And then later, after it's dried, they're separated out, and that's called a natural process. Natural processed coffees definitely have more chaff than unwashed process. And this Guatemala, I would have to look at my notes. With the amount of chaff on it, I would guess that it's probably a natural process. Okay, my oven is heated up, my timer is done, so now it is time to roll out the crackers. So I'm going to set this aside over here. While we're waiting for the coffee anyway, we'll roll out crackers. Rolling pin. Flour shaker. Dough. Now I need a pan to place the crackers. Okay. We are going to use this one that has a silpat mat already on it. And I think I'm going to divide this up so that I'm not working with all of this dough all at once. 5 dozen crackers, that's a lot. So let's just cut this into quarters-ish. Start flouring the counter. And my recipe says lightly floured, so I'm just going to work this into a ball. Turn it over to make sure I got flour on both sides. And we'll roll it out. Now it's much easier to roll out than it was to knead, that's for sure. If you want to, you can cut this out with cookie cutter shapes. Or if you have a set of biscuit cutters, you can cut round crackers. That would look nice. I'm going to roll this out as thinly as I can. Remember, the sunflower seeds weren't all breaking up, so I'm not going to be able to roll it thinner than those sunflower seeds are. But we will get it as thin as we can. This will go with any kind of dip, any cracker dip that you like. My sister-in-law usually brings a spinach dip to our family gatherings, and it's always amazing. I don't know what her trick is, but it's always good. That's one of those opportunities for people to do what they do best, She makes the best spinach dip. And I don't know if you can see it, but there are places where I've got big old chunks of these sunflower seeds where it's just kind of the dough's pulled away from them. So we'll see what happens when I bake them. I'm just going to cut these into rough, square-ish pieces because I'm not trying to be super fancy here. I like them a little bit rustic anyway. I keep hitting the stand for the camera, sorry. Okay. So I'm just going to take my knife and sort of tidy up the edges a little. Not too much, because we're going for rustic. My tea kettle sounds like it's just getting close to boiling, so I'm going to turn it off. When I make coffee in the French press, I like to do it at a little bit lower temperature. My husband goes for full boiling. I'm just gonna, this is sort of like a square with some rounded corners here. So yeah, he goes for full boiling, I go for almost boiling. He pours the water just full on, fills the thing up. I like to give it a 30-second bloom. So, go over here to the coffee again. And I'm going to put just a little bit of water on here. Just enough to cover the grounds. And shake it around to coat everything. And I'm going to let it bloom for 30 seconds or so. And then I'm going to pour the rest of the water on there. So while that is blooming, I'm going to start cutting my strips of cracker dough. And I'll just cut them one direction and then I'll cut them the other way. Try and get them about the same size. These are not going to have perfect right angles. They're going to be rustic. You may have noticed I didn't measure anything. Didn't get any rulers out. Okay, so I cut one direction on my crackers. Now I'm going to pour the water into the French press to fill it up. Just almost to the spout. And I'm going to let that steep for 4 minutes. Oops. Let's start that again. Timer 4 minutes. Start. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to get an iced teaspoon and give it a little stir. Iced teaspoon works great for this. So, let me show you the overhead view again. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? That's just going to sit. I'm going to put the lid on it. I'm just going to let that sit for 4 minutes. Okay, so now we're going back to cutting the crackers. Making them roughly square. And these ones on the edge are, you know, not perfect. But that's okay, it's rustic. It's squarish. Just going to cut them, put them on this baking sheet with the silk hat mat. Go back to that overhead view again for you. I'm trying not to cut it too heavy with my counter. Just going to take my edges to his, we don't want to waste any cracker dough. That one's a little bit scrappy. Press that coffee. So coffee press has a little indicator of where the open part is. That's where it's stuffed. Okay. Nice. That's always good. Now I have fuel for the rest of the stream, right? Enough fuel to cut these crackers anyway. Get them in the oven. So a quarter of this dough is just barely going to fit on my one baking sheet here. And I think I'm going to make it work. And I did not count how many crackers I got. Let's see. I'll get them on the pan and then I'll count them. Spaced them out really wide apart at the beginning of this. And I'm going to have to scooch them all together so that I can fit them all on here at the end. I can do it. Oh yeah, no problem. Alright. So, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay, anyway, in the oven they go. We'll set the timer for 20 minutes. Okay, and clean off this counter again. Okay, we do have one more thing that we are going to put together while those crackers are in the oven. I'm going to make sort of a quick and dirty queso. I looked at a bunch of recipes, but I'm not going to strictly follow anybody's recipe. I had a recipe for a spinach dip all prepared and ready to go. I have the ingredients listed for the chat and everything, but then when I looked in my refrigerator, I didn't have no spinach. So, plan B. We are going to do this queso instead, and I'm just going to wing it, so we'll see how it turns out. So I'm going to start with a saucepan. So when you, who are watching, when you are cooking in your kitchen, do you rely on recipes or do you wing it? I tend to wing it an awful lot. Here we go. Got a piece of an onion that I'm going to use the end of. Okay, so this is just some extra light olive oil. I'm going to turn my burner on to about medium-low. I'm going to put some olive oil in here. When that heats up, I'll add the onions. I'm also going to cheat. I didn't have any fresh jalapenos, so I'm going to use some canned jalapenos, jarred jalapenos. Anyway, they are rated to be relatively hot. So I'm only going to put a few in. I'm also going to be adding some homemade salsa, which also has jalapenos in it, and some other peppers. So I don't need a whole lot of spice. These are my homemade salsas. I have a green and a red. I'm going to throw some of each in. And I just need a few extra jalapenos I'm going to chop up. So, alright, onion in the oil. Spoon. And now you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, I am just sauteing the onion here. I'm using my favorite wooden spoon, one of my favorite wooden spoons. I'll show you. This is my favorite wooden spoon. It is hand carved. I carved it with a Dremel. I always wanted to try my hand at carving wood, and So my husband bought me a little Dremel, Dremel drill for Christmas, and I bought some wooden spoons, just really cheap ones, and I just drew the little design on there, the flower and the leaves, and started grinding. And I made a few different little wooden spoon designs. It was fun. I like doing creative things. It doesn't matter what medium. If I can make something cool, I'll stay up all night dreaming about it and designing things, and then spend too much time being crafty and not getting my dishes done and stuff. Okay, so while this is cooking, I think I'm going to chop up a few of these jalapenos. I don't think I want to just stick my fingers in the jar. That might be painful. Spoon a few of them out. And I'll just chop them up and add them in with the onions. That looks like plenty. The onion. I'm just going to make sure that this onion gets soft, and then we are going to throw in about a cup of half and half, and the salsas, and a whole bunch of cheese. And again, I'm cheating. I'm using pre-grated cheese. Not every Thanksgiving side dish has to be completely like, you know, grown on the farm and made from scratch. This was scratch made, right? I'm just not grating the cheese. I didn't make the cheese myself. I don't have a cow. I have a Costco. Ha! Costco pre-shredded cheddar jack cheese. That's what I'm using. Okay. These onions are looking pretty good. So, I'm going to measure a cup of half and half. You could go up to a cup and a half. It just kind of depends on the thickness, the texture that you want. I want mine pretty thick. I'm going to throw that half and half in there. And about a pound of this grated cheese. Okay, this is a 2.5 pound bag. So I want to go a little less than half the bag. Yeah, that's the way I measure things. A little less than half. There. And I'm just going to stir that. I'm going to turn it down to low so that this melts nicely. Oh, that's going to be good and thick. Take a minute because everything cooled down really quickly when I added that cold half and half in there. Maybe I'll turn it up a notch above low. And I'll just stir it until that cheese gets melty. And then I'll stir in the salsas. And by then maybe the crackers will be coming out of the oven. Good coffee. And this is going to be good cheese dip. And when my family gets home, I will have some coffee here. Well, depending on what time they get home. Maybe the coffee will be all gone by the time they get home. Maybe the queso will be all gone by the time they get home. We shall see. They are actually working at our other house. Trying to get the last of the stuff out of it so that we can have it ready for someone else to move into soon. Alright, this cheese is starting to melt. It's gooey. It's going to be be so yummy. As soon as it gets smooth, it still looks gloppy. As soon as it gets smooth, then we'll add in the salsa. It's getting there. Still a little gloppy. It's got some chunks from the jalapenos and the onions. This is going to be so good. Okay, so it's looking pretty smooth. I'm just going to toss in a couple tablespoons of the green salsa, maybe a quarter of a cup of the red. We'll see how it looks, and then we'll give it a taste and adjust it from there. Maybe a little more than a quarter of a cup. Maybe it's looking like it maybe needs some more of the red. But we'll have to taste it first and decide. Salsa. And maybe just a little bit more, half and half. Because adding the salsa in has made it a little grainy. Maybe it's just because the salsa is not hot. Like, not the same temperature. That looks good. But I do want it thick. So let's try that again. Fresh chip this time. That's pretty good. It's got a slow spice that kind of creeps up on you. That's pretty good. Maybe I'll leave it like this. Okay, turn off the burner. Alright. I'll need some more chips in front of you. That works. Alright. I'm going to put that in a bowl and cover it and see how long it lasts. We shall see. Oh, I was on the wrong view. I'm sorry. There. Now you can see me. Alright, let's try this one more time. It's cheesy. And it's creamy. And it's got just a little bit of a bite to it. I really like that. Sorry I don't have an actual recipe to give you. That was very good. Okay. We'll get this cheese and half and half put away. My timer says it has 2 minutes left. We'll see if the crackers are done. So they might need extra time, we'll see. Ooh, they look good. Yeah. hot. What do you think? I think they look pretty yummy. They're kind of a thicker cracker, but after they cool, they should be nicely crispy, and they'll certainly hold up to dips and spreads. Yeah, those look really good. I can't wait to bake up the rest of them. That'll work. All right, well. Thank you for joining me for Caffeinated Mondays while I made monk crackers and cheese sauce, queso, and French press coffee. It's been fun. Now I need to get back to work. I've got a couple different decaf coffees that I need to roast today, and got some stuff to do at my church this afternoon. We are recording some rehearsal tracks for the kids to practice with for the Christmas program coming up, and yeah, just got a busy day ahead of me. Good thing I got some coffee. If you would like to check out what we have available right now, look at my website, bravewoodbeanery.com, and you can see everything we have available. We've got a lot to offer right now. And check out our Umpqua River blend. It's super exciting. I can't wait to share that with all of you guys. Check out our merch at the Stream Elements merch store. And there should be a link in the chat. If you can't see the chat, it is, merch.streamelements.com/bravewoodbeanery. So you can see, the stickers that we've got and the coffee mugs, and that's about it, but I don't have enough followers yet to have channel points enabled or anything like that. But if you would like to support this venture of mine, you can do that by leaving me a tip or buying stuff from the merch store. So check that all out, and I hope to see you next Monday for Caffeinated Mondays. And I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you're celebrating, and if not, just have a wonderful week. Stay positive, stay caffeinated, stay the course. Bye.